Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all to ET Telecom webinar. To present this webinar, I welcome Mr. Jorgen Hayes, CEO of Unlimit IoT, on the topic NDCP 2018 Desired Policy Framework to Enhance the Adoption and Growth of IoT in India. There will be a presentation on the topic followed by a question and answer session wherein you may submit text questions to today's presenter by typing your questions into the questions pane of the control panel. You may send in your questions at any time during the presentation. We will collect these and address them at the end of the presentation. Now I request Mr. Hayes to start the presentation. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Really warm welcome also from my side. Yes, as explained before, my name is Jorgen Hayes. I'm responsible in Unlimit, which is a part of the Reliance Group for the IoT business. Again, really warm welcome, and I hope I can share some information from our side, some principles about the NDCP 2018. I hope you all can see the presentation. I will go ahead. First of all, here you see the invitation, and you also can see who I am. Looks a little bit old and gray on the picture, but that's me. And yeah, as explained before, I'm many years already in the IoT space here in India and in different other countries. So who I am, at the end you find all the details on LinkedIn. I've more than 30 years in the telco space, but let's talk about IoT. The last 10 years in the IoT arena in Europe, in Germany, responsible for Deutsche Telekom for IoT, board member of many different alliances and associations. And after Deutsche Telekom, I was responsible around about 2 years in the region of Middle East. As in the Ooredoo Group. In the Ooredoo Group, I was responsible for all the IoT activities. That means we have implemented IoT in Indonesia, in the Middle East, in Tunisia, and many other regions. And now, for around about 2 years, in a few days or in a few weeks, I will fulfill 2 years. I'm here responsible in Unlimit for the IoT business, based in Mumbai. And people ask me how long you will stay in India. I'm living here with my family in India. I hope I will stay many years here. Good. Coming, but that's not the topic. Coming to Indians' digital economy. What does it mean? If you see here on the first slide, at the end of the day, in India, the digital economy is growing fast. And yes, you can see this, first of all, in the figures from the last year. You know there were more than 200 million new social media users only in 2017. And all the mobile banking, all is mobile and digital more. And especially in emerging countries like India or China, all of this is stepping much faster compared to many other countries. At the end, it's a digital world, and when we're talking about digital economy and things which will happen, everybody's talking about the trillions of dollars and the billions and trillions of dollars. We can talk a lot about, is it 1 trillion, 2 trillion, or 3 trillion? Fact is, it has a strong impact on the economy in India for the next year, on the GDP and other things. So, yeah, where we are today and how we are growing here, especially in India, starting with digital. So digital economy and digital infrastructure, first of all, whatever you're talking about is infrastructure broadband. And there's a strong growth and penetration on the broadband side in India. And as you can see here, it has a really strong impact on the GDP. And the 1% is, I believe, is the lowest expectation. And the fact we see normally an impact beyond 1%. I believe the calculation 1% is a minimum we are expecting also in the next year. But it only works, coming to the second point, if you have really a competitive landscape. That means you have really an open market where different players with different technologies, different networks and application beyond this really can play close together, because this is a real impact on GDP. Yeah, and next point is, you can read it already there, the improvement in regulation. Innovation in the digital innovation is very, very, very fast. But on the other side, it has also the regulation, and the government has to follow them. And one statement I can make, especially from the beginning, is what I've seen here in India is that the regulator is really, really fast following the innovation and trying to manage with the NDCP and other new things, which are policies which are coming up to this impact. You can see it really, really fast, how fast regulation is following these technologies. So, what is the impact of IoT? At the beginning, I talked about broadband, satellite, thousands of things, but one super strong enabler on this side is part around IoT, artificial intelligence, data analytics, and this in combination with, on one side, established organization and startups, which have to work close together. You know that in India there's a super strong startup community growing up, and a few of them will have a super strong impact also on the GDP for the future. I personally believe the next Facebook or whatever will come from India on the digital side. So, you know, also some facts. I think most of you have heard about these facts. Looking to 2020, the statement from the government is, what is the impact, the opportunity on IoT? Now I'm talking about IoT. That means we're coming from trillion to billion, which is more than enough. The 50 billion by 2020, around about 2.7 billion connected devices. That means it's a lot. It's a lot, and the last analytics they have done regarding tech startups is that now India is number 3 worldwide. I believe number 1 is the US market, number 2 is the Israeli market, or the UK market, number 3 is already India, on the largest on startups based around the world. So, and these startups are not created by old people. India has the youngest startup nation, or is the youngest startup nation around the world. That means all the young people I'm also talking to and meeting many of these people, they are really young and willing to be a part of this digital new world. Good. Coming to application. I wouldn't explain all these applications. I like this one slide. There are unlimited application. Okay, Unlimited is also our brand. There's a reason why I like it, but in principle, there are unlimited applications. You know it better than me. We're talking about automotive. We're talking about industrial automation, which is called Industry 4.0, the initiative, transport and logistics, healthcare, agriculture, smart cities, banking sector, finance sector. You can see it has an impact on the B2B side, and I personally also believe on the B2C side. It's not only the B2B or B2B2X, and the X could be a B or a C. Because why I personally believe it's happened, there are some principles which are changing in the world. On one side, all will be digital. On the second side, we are living more in a shared world. You know, rent a car, rent a bike, rent whatever you want, pay per use. This is the principle which is coming up. And behind this, you also need strong enabler, and IoT is one of the strongest enabler on this side to make it happen. Last but not least, we are talking about unlimited application and data, collecting data, to monetize data, to analyze the data for serving better new services which are coming up. One figure I want to share is around this, the last statement for unlimited application. We are talking today around 27 million devices which are connected day by day around the world. 27 million devices day by day which will be connected. Data points per day which are coming up. Good. Coming now to India, what's going on in India. I'm now 2 years in India, and I've learned a lot about the Indian market. There are many activities, but there's not a really formal guideline how to register and how to implement IoT in a harmonized way, so that everybody can use it in the same way. There are many initiatives. You can see it here, and I will go directly to the next slide. You know all the ministries and the regulator which are there, the DOT, and all of them. Here you find some history information. What was happened in the last years, last but not least, we're talking 2015, 16, 17, up to 18, starting with the DOT. They've activated, or they've started their first national telecom roadmap. They've discussed many discussion rounds and starting to prepare some guidelines how to interact as an M2M service provider. And what I really like is there were many open discussions with the DOT, and so that they really can collect all the relevant information from all the key players in the market. And you can see it. The last information, for example, for the DOT is the SIM, the pure connectivity. It sounds all the time so easy, but especially here, India is a little bit special compared to many others. You have national roaming and all the other things, but we are talking now also about the embedded SIM, the subscription management, and how to swap what is allowed, what is not allowed. Some more things are also done by the Ministry of Road and Transport, Highways. You can see it, you can read it. I believe it's not necessary to write it down, to explain it step by step. One push which came is the AIS 140 for tracking cars and relevant transport systems for public transport. I believe this is a strong initiative and has a strong impact also in the digital world of India. And for this, at the end of the day, you need IoT and IoT services in the back. So then coming to regulator side, you can read here also, whenever we are talking about IoT, we are talking about cloud services. It has to be cloud-based. And cloud-based means what's happened with all my data, what is the data flow. The data flow means data privacy, data security, how to take care of all this data. I believe here the TRAE has done many activities, especially in the last year, how to handle data privacy and other things. And then coming to the Ministry of Electronic and Technology. You can see also here they have done really an early stage first drafts of the IoT policy, and step by step also worked on different drafts. Last but not least, we're talking about smart cities. In the smart cities, there was is a strong push also, and here also many standards actually are worked out and hopefully will be available as soon as possible. But whatever we are doing, there's a reason why. I'm a person who likes picture. You can see here also a picture. What is so special, I believe. Whatever we are doing, India is a little bit different compared to other countries. It means we have to adapt global specification, global rules to the national requirements of India. We have to define the right frameworks, and at the end we have to find our own way. As I explained before, on one side we have the national roaming, then I call it the national cloud. With any cloud has to be based in India. We are from regulator part. We have to talk about all the 22 circles, which is different compared. For me as a European person, it sounds like Europe. In Europe, we have also 25 different countries with different circles. And here in India, we have 22 circles already in one country, which is a huge country. And last but not least, whatever we are doing, never forget, we can do a lot, but it's also price sensitive. That means we have to address the right price points to the market. Good. Then coming to the NDCP. the policy which was floated, I believe, end of last year for the discussion. May this year, sorry. There was a pre-discussion, and in May was floated for first draft for the discussion. And I believe at the end, I want to simplify it. Why they're doing this? They want to make India and the India economy and the cities fit for the future, fit for the digital future which is coming up. So where we are today, India is the second largest telco sector. We have more than 1.2 billion subscriber, strong growing people who are using mobile internet subscriber at the end of the day. As explained before, we are very, very price sensitive, especially in India. That means we have the lowest price tariffs worldwide. And the telco market has a strong impact on GDP, as you can see. So the other points also you can read: the major telecom networks, the coverage, whatever you're doing on this side, we have actually 95% pan-India coverage. But to fulfill it at the end, we have to come here to the 100% sooner or later. Many digital initiatives, and the digital service are the catalyst for the transformation. So what are the NDCP 2018 goals? And they have described this in two facts. One is really facilitate development of telcos infrastructure and services to achieve the digital or the overall economy growth for India. This is one of the core elements. Make India digital so that it has a strong impact of a positive growth on the economy, on the GDP. And the second big activity is one of the goals they also have described in the paper and the policy is they want to be a front runner for Industry 4.0, especially in India. You have many manufacturers, many OEMs who are doing all these activities. And in Industry 4.0, which was started, I believe, in Germany a few years ago, then came to India and is now came to China, is now coming to India. And India has a strong opportunity also to be one of the leaders for the Industry 4.0 if they are doing it right in form which is described on the NDCP here in the document. What are the objectives? You have to reduce or to simplify statements in some pillars. And in this picture, you can see the 6 topics we see from the NDCP. First of all, as explained before, broadband has a strong impact on the economy growth. That means you need broadband for all. As broad, we're talking about 50 MB higher, and any high bandwidth which is possible for the B2B and sooner or later also for the B2B2C, that everybody has excellent access to broadband technology. Because if you want to share, to serve digital services, you need broadband, wireline or wireless. So if you're doing this, it has also a strong impact on the job. People to get new jobs, many new jobs. I know everybody or many are talking about, okay, if you're talking about the world will be digital, many people will leave, will lose their jobs. But that was happened in history the last 100 years, and the industrial evolution 1, 2, 3 all the time. On one side, people have lost their jobs, but on the other side, many more new jobs came in. And you can see it already here in India in the startup community, which is coming up, and the new initiatives. All organizations, all manufacturers are starting to create a new organization internally for the digital world, for the twins, for the digital twin, all the things which are coming up. At the end, we are talking about around about 4 million additional jobs. That means this initiative sooner or later has a strong impact, a positive impact on the job side, and that means also on the economy and the GDP. Increase contribution. The India GDP will grow from 6 or 6.5 up to 8%. A strong growth we are expecting. You have to set up goals coming to the what's our expectation or India's expectation, where we want to be, what is the placement. Actually, on the ranking on the development index of ITU, we are on number 134, I believe, something like this, and India want to be on the top 50. And I believe with this document and with these initiatives, there's a huge opportunity to grow as soon as possible in this area and this range, to be one of the top 50 players in a global and the ICT development market. Yeah, business is global. I believe whatever you're doing, you're starting normally with local activities, but you see as soon as possible, it's in Industry 4.0, it's in the commercial vehicles, automotive sector, whatever you're doing, you're starting local, but you see as soon as possible it's a global business. It has a global impact. And if India is doing these things right, I believe the headline of Make in India has a huge opportunity also for India to participate in this global business more on the driver's seat than as a follower. There's a huge opportunity if they're doing it right on the technology side now, plus on the pricing side. There's a huge opportunity. So last but not least, to be digital and in the cloud, there's also a risk. That's the reason why the last point is one of the most important one. You have to ensure that all your digital initiatives will be done in India for India, and that you are as independent as possible as a country like India. It doesn't work if you are working all the time only with partners around the world, with services around the world. You have to take care of the value you're creating in a country like India, that you are sovereign and that all these activities you can work. I wouldn't say as a closed shop, that's negative, but work from India, and that you're on the driver's seat and not your activities depending too much on other activities coming from others. Good. What are the mission and vision? I believe this is, you can read it. As I explained before, you need a clear vision to go ahead to fulfill the information and communication needs of citizen enterprises by established, and you can read it, I believe. At the end, you have to empower the economy with new digital services so that they have the right tools and services and infrastructure, which is the core part, to push all these activities for the digital world. So the mission and the NDCP, you find 3 headlines, and I like it because on one side it's simplified, but on the other side there's a lot of background behind this. The mission is crystal clear. We will connect India. Whatever we are doing, we have to secure India. This we have explained just before. Also, a country has to be sovereign and other things. And at the end, we have to propel also India. These are the 3 topics. What is behind? You can find starting with the Connect India. You can see this. 1 second. The goals in 2022, what are the goals for Connect India? At the end, to create a robust digital communication infrastructure, which means on broadband, wireline, wireless access, broadband access to households, and best-in-class coverage, which is including hybrid access technology. It's not only wireline, wireless, also talking about Wi-Fi hotspots and all these areas. And last but not least, is the last sentence you find, coverage close to 100%. This is important, especially if you need connected services countrywide. You need this really also in rural areas, and you have to take care of that the connectivity is also available in rural areas so that we are close to 100%. So what is our view on this side? If you're implementing IoT in the services we have just explained, that means you need a really structured physical infrastructure developed for a robust network. That means whatever you're doing, you have to take care of that things are working really, really close together. That doesn't work if you're creating different silos in the infrastructure. That means whatever you're doing in this space, we believe it has to be done well structured and well organized on this side. When you are implementing services on the infrastructure side, and normally it has an impact on different players, different bodies, and that means partly not all is running well. If you want to implement, or if you want to place a cable along a highway or whatever you're doing, or any activities, not all the time things are working close together, different departments working in different areas. That's the reason why we believe whatever you're doing on this side, if things are not going well, there should be a single window clearance for faster implementation. It means if things are not going right, the stakeholders should have a chance, let's call it a clearing area, where they can place them together and talk about how we can solve these things as soon as possible, so that things working not independent, more solution-oriented and faster and more agile, that stakeholders have the chance to come in together on the right point. We call it a single window clearance, to come together and to execute failure as soon as possible, so that we can close these gaps. Last but not least, we're also talking about the USOF, the Universal Service Obligation Fund. Most of these funding were activated on a network layer, less on services beyond. We believe our view is it's important that these funding are also now coming for services beyond the pure infrastructure. That means any form of, we're talking about analytics, and there are many things beyond the pure connectivity part. I believe we have to think about to extend the scope for the user regarding connectivity, net infrastructure plus additional services. And this should be also a part of this funding story. So, security, I like this picture. Now people are asking, the S in IT stands for security. There is no S inside, that means there's no security. That's not true, but whatever we are doing, any goals we are defining on the security level, we have to take care of, and we have to establish security from the beginning, not at the end. The problem most of the time is we are implementing especially in the IoT space, devices, connectivity, platforms, analytic tools, cloud-based services. And at the end, we are thinking about, okay, now how to take care of data security in any form, end-to-end. And that's normally too late. And with the goals the NDCP has described, I believe they have described it in the right way, that we have to take care of from the beginning how to secure how to take care of data privacy, data protection, and all these activities from the network, from all the OZ layer elements up to an end-to-end services, including, and as you find in the middle, you also have to think about how we can testing all these things. It's not only to implement it, we need also a clear end-to-end test on the security layer. Everybody's knowing what was happening with companies like Facebook and all the others. I believe from our side, if you're talking about the digital communication and the IoT services in special, we have to take care of that. We're really implementing security elements end to end, and we are really testing. Does it work? How we can take care of that the end-to-end security elements are really working. So this is our recommendation as described before. We personally believe it makes sense. No, it's a must, not it makes sense. It's a must that for any data security or security approach, you have to design in from the beginning. It's a core element of designing a digital infrastructure. What does it mean on an end-to-end security element? Design in from the beginning. I want to add one more point. It has also a strong impact on the network and the application performance. Because if you're working on the security elements full independent, layer by layer, service by service, or from the hardware to the software, whatever you're doing, the performance normally is going down. That means if you design in from the beginning and end-to-end security in the right way, your performance of the system will be much, much better. And this, coming back to the Industry 4.0, for example, has a strong impact, because especially in Industry 4.0 initiative, we are talking more and more about real-time analytics and all these services. That means you have to design in security elements from the beginning and not at the end, because then you have too much overhead. You will have too much overhead when you're using the services. Good. Coming to the Propel India, here you find again. I believe it's a great. There are great goals to find, especially in this part. It has a strong impact in the digital transformation, especially for IoT, AI, and all these services which are on this. And first of all, investment. Whatever you're doing, I believe it's crystal clear. There's a strong plan of invest billions of dollars in the digital communication sector. So, and as explained before, it's not only for the India market itself, for the local market, it's also, if we are doing it right, it will have a strong impact for the global business. And India is able to play a driver role, has a strong impact also for India, for the global market, because if the technology is implemented right, the security elements is implemented. We have a lot of scale already in India. And with the price sensitivity here in India, you also can sell these services sooner or later also to the global market. Yeah, many initiatives coming from the startups. Startups means more or less innovation. I want to talk a little bit more about innovation than only startups. I believe create innovation in universities and startups, in legacy organization, create internal organization who are more relevant or more developing things on innovation, how to make the digital story relevant in their own organization, in their manufacturing, in wherever they are working. I believe here innovation has a strong impact. When we are talking about innovation, we have to take care of innovation. Then we're talking about IPRs. I believe here we have to think a little bit more in India. What is the impact on IPRs? Take care of that innovation is an Indian innovation, not copy and paste by others. So that the rights and all these things are really here in India. This is one part. I personally believe, also to the next point, standards. Nobody likes standards, but if you're talking about IoT services for the digital world in India, you have minimum on an API layer to talk about standardization, and so that you can hand over the information from one platform to the other, from one service to the other, because it's all growing close together. And here is also a chance, if you are fast and disruptive enough, and India is fast and disruptive enough for these new technologies, to set up new standards. Why not? New standards should be more or less defined from India. There's a huge opportunity if you do it now and develop and work tough on these parts. Yeah. Then next point is education. We call them here the new age skills. At the end of the day, I'm also many times at universities and doing some lection in front of students, and but I cannot now manage 1 million manpower. That's not possible. The point is that the government, and one of the goals really, it's absolutely necessary to give young people enough power that they can participate, and they have to be trained on these new technology and for this new age which is coming up. And it's not only the young people, it's also the organization itself. I like the wording of the PPT, the process, the people, and the technology. If you're implementing digital services in an organization, on one side, it's a process itself for sure. I believe it's an impact on business models and other things. The second one is our people. You have to train people, you have to educate people that they really are able to follow these digital wave as soon as possible, that they can surf on this wave. And the third one is the technology, but the second one is really people. Yeah. Then the IoT ecosystem, I believe many things are already happening here in India for the IoT ecosystem. The 5 billion connected devices, I believe it will come faster than expected. Whatever is a device, it's not only a black box. I won't call any device, could be a sensor or an edge technology. There are many different types of connected device. But at the end, not only one company can serve the end-to-end services to make IoT really happen as a digital enabler for the story in India. You need a strong IoT ecosystem in India. Yeah, and then last but not least, the transition to Industry 4.0, as explained before. I believe here we can see many initiatives, and for the goals is one of the strong enabler for the future, and it's a clear goal from NDCP to be one of the driver in the Industry 4.0 initiative. So, if you drill it down, what does it mean, especially on the technology side? And here we're talking more about what does it mean concrete for IoT. Again, we need a harmonized environment so that the plug and play between different technologies are working really smooth. And that means on one side, you should be able to adapt new technologies as soon as possible. One of the core elements for this is the API story, the open interface story. To take care of that, you have an open environment. On one side closed on the security side, on the other side open, so that you can plug in new technologies as soon as possible. Less work in silos, more work on horizontal layers with an open infrastructure. All of this is based on IPv6. Crystal clear. This is the way to how to go ahead, especially if you're talking about a billion of connected devices. You need IPv6. Which is coming up. The next one. I know actually we are talking about the 4G rollout. We're talking about the narrowband, all these things which are coming up. But sooner or later, and I believe it will come sooner than later. We're also talking about 5G in India. And whatever we are doing today, we have to take care of that we are ready for 5G for the future. How we are able to adapt 5G when it's coming in the next years as soon as possible. Because we cannot swap all 5 years, all the devices, the millions and trillions of billions of devices. I believe we have to be ready for on the technology side to adapt all these things in the right form and in a smooth way, migrated from one technology to the other one. And also use all the advantage services which are 5G based, because especially 5G has many services, especially adapted for IoT. Last but not least, the numbering resources. If you have all these millions and billions of connected devices, we have to take care of that the numbering resources is working well, that it's working harmonized and as open as possible, that we have enough and the adequate numbering resourcing available in the future. Yeah. In detail, what does it mean? I believe a few things already have explained. New technologies, we need a holistic view on the roadmap. Which technologies are coming up? What does it mean? Blockchain and other services which are coming in. How we are ready for all this technology for end-to-end environment. It's more important that really thinking end-to-end, not only, okay, blockchain is working here, but how to adapt it to another technology or another market, another segment. I think we really have to think on a holistic view on this side. We have to simplify any form of regulator frameworks. We need regulator frameworks crystal clear, but how to make it happen that all these technologies are working simple and easy and smooth together. If we're talking about access technologies, we have also to talk about licensed and unlicensed spectrum. And if we're talking about LoRa and Sigfox and all these technologies which are coming up, we have to take care of what does it mean for us. Is there space enough? Do we need an unlicensed spectrum for a B2B application? I believe we have to take care of this. Last but not least is the open API, as explained before. For me, it's a must. IPv6, I've described. We also need a clear migration from existing technology installed based to IPv6. Sooner or later, we cannot convert all the protocols at the edge, I believe. And sooner or later, we need IPv6 end-to-end. So we have to take care of. Yeah, the 5G already and the numbering, I believe I've explained just before. Coming to the numbering only, everybody's known we are talking about 13-digit number we need for rollout of the IoT activities, so IT/end-to-end. Good. Last point I have, what does, if we're talking about the Propel India, what are our recommendations on this side? First of all, I believe most of the regulator activities are based on existing guidelines. For the future, I believe here we really have to think about new technologies, how not use old, let's make it simple, not use existing papers and add 2 points more. It's much more what is a really impact, what is really new, and partly it makes sense to add really new regulator guidelines for new services, which are a little bit more independent on the existing paper, because the existing paper are for existing technologies, and we have to take care of that. We are following new technologies in the right way with new regulator guidelines. The same is coming up from the taxation. So that application of principles of input lines created for simplified taxation for the new innovative services. This is also a really important one for us to make it happen in the right form. Uniform interpretation means that we have, I give you an example. We have many different circles here in India, and if you want to roll out, starting mass rollout of a service, we have 22 independent areas. I believe here we have to harmonize and uniform the interpretation that if any organization, any company is developing a service and a technology, that we can really roll it out, one technology countrywide. I believe this is more relevant on this side. So next point is if I give you an example, we are talking about the AS 140, which is one of the tracking services, which was driven by one ministry, and but it has also a strong impact from the DOT, because we are using a special SIM with a multi-profile, and important is if you're offering an IoT services, that you really have one umbrella requirement for this. That means the ministries have to work much closer together, and so these bodies for to make it happen, this one service. This is one requirement I believe we need, that the services is not depending on one ministry, it's depending on many ministries and many bodies, and to find a way that really technologies and all these things are coming closer together. Last but not least, as explained before, is the Open APN, and APN, the Open APN is also a part of this. Good. Last few slides. I have only 2 slides at the end. I believe it's more or less for Q&A. We need a little bit more time. I personally believe the NDCP document is an excellent document. You find really is I've never seen a document like this around the world, which is really addressing all the relevant points here to make India more digital, faster, more agile. And in this paper, you find most of these activities already. There are all the time things to do. There's a reason why I like this picture. Never give up. Great things take time. India is doing great things, and I believe we have all the time. We have to work close together, share our knowledge, it's important that we all are sharing our views, so that the paper is really the best in class paper also for the future. Good. That's all from my side.
Thank you for that presentation. So we already have a lot of questions. So proceeding with the first one, what percentage can IoT contribute towards telco's revenue going forward?
Interesting question. It's depending on what you're talking about. If a telco is a pure telco for selling pure connectivity, I would say, if you're looking about IoT, the impact of pure communication in IoT stack is 10% maximum. 90% are services beyond connectivity. If a telco is offering pure connectivity for the IoT stack, I would say the impact is not really high, but the volume of SIMs is high. That means it has a strong impact on the network, but on the revenue side, you will not see the impact. I'll give you an example. If you're implementing IoT with millions of devices, and all these devices will send over midnight, keep a live signal in your network will struggle. So that means it has a strong impact, but the data volume is low, and the revenue per SIM is low, but it's a quantity you have to manage. I personally believe if a telco is offering the full IoT stack, that means it's a device, it's an end-to-end services for tracking, for whatever you want, then the impact over the years could be beyond 20%, I personally believe. And many things are growing together.
For the please. So you're saying something?
Please go ahead.
Yeah. All right. Proceeding with the next question. Then this question is from Rohit. What major regulatory and policy changes are required for desired penetration of IoT services in India?
What major?
So, IoT solutions, since They transcend the telecom space. They are an IoT application which is generating a lot of big data, which is over which we are applying an AI tool for actually bringing out some analytics, and it's a service which is being provided from the cloud. So the policy enablement that is required is not from a single point or a single source. So the first point, what Jorgen recommended, that we cannot template the existing policies of, let's say, only the telecom domain or only the IT domain onto IoT services. They require the support of a lot of multidisciplinary ministries to actually proliferate. So a simple example, what Jorgen gave about AAS 140 mandating multiple subscription SIMs was still as recently as 16th of May not allowed by DOT. It's good of them that the November Gazette published by MORC has now been supported by DOT. So it is those kind of policy implementation. The changes that would be required for innovative services is in terms of first implementation and then maybe tweaking of the policies so that they can keep pace with the innovations.
You can find it on one of the first slides already that has a strong impact on many different ministries for to deliver the full, let's call it IT stack or the digital services for data, the cloud, the data privacy, and many security elements. There are many players also from the regulator ministry side who have to work close together. There's not only one.
Okay. Next question is from Amit. To facilitate infra, is it not wise to allow both passive and active infra sharing, not only between licensees like UL, USAL, CFTS, but amongst all type of licensees to create a better infrastructure?
Yes, it is allowed. Simple answer.
Yeah, sharing of infrastructure would definitely help, but then policy enablement once again has to be there to ensure that this kind of a sharing is possible. Just to give an example, VNO services, though allowed quite some time back, but they have not been able to take off because of certain restrictions. Just one which we can think of is trying to restrict the parentage of the VNO to a single parent when we are accessing access services. So a VNO can really not leverage, let's say, the best of the breed of 2G, 3G, 4G, multiple kind of services through multiple parents. So these kind of restrictive policy guidelines need to be tided over to ensure that this kind of multidisciplinary service proliferates. Yeah.
Next question is from Samrat. How the execution will be tracked for optimum achievement of the policy?
Yeah, so there again, like Jorgen recommended that there should be a multidisciplinary body on since these domain the IoT services transcends multiple domains, so there should be there should be an apex body which actually does the kind of regulation that is required. Apart from that, the individual regulators are tracking, they are doing their auditing, they are doing their compliances, they are already asking for it. So we feel the apex body should help out on that aspect.
Okay. Now this question, has the industry received the desired support for IoT in NDCP? So it's again the policy related thing.
To some extent, yes, the government is working towards it. They have been supported. The recent SIM guidelines that have come on 16th of May definitely aid towards provisioning of IoT services. A lot of deliberations are going on towards cloud computing because that is going to be a major requirement for IoT services. The government is now, in our interactions, we've realized that they are quite open to actually try and provide enabling regulations wherein they can ensure that the innovations start, the regulations start matching the pace of the innovation.
Okay, we have a question from Soumya. The question is, what are the possible business models to monetize the Wi-Fi hotspots in India? CapEx heavy 10 million hotspots are unrealistic without proper revenue generation model. And how people can utilize these Wi-Fi hotspots without access to smartphones?
To monetize Wi-Fi hotspot, at the end of it, it's depending where is your Wi-Fi hotspot. Is your Wi-Fi hotspot in a car? Then it's much more easier because then you are more or less close to the owner of the SIM card and the connectivity. I mean, this is the part of selling the connected car story. That's much more easy. If you're in a public area, to monetize Wi-Fi hotspot, we are talking a lot about advertising use cases around this. It's a way how to monetize. But to be honest, from our side, we are looking more on Wi-Fi hotspot in the car, and there's much more easier compare the public hotspots. There's much more if you have the login information of the customer who's in, and then you can use data of the customer for additional services. But it's not so easy.
Moreover, the TRA is pushed towards creating the public data offices, what they recommended in the recommendations for Wi-Fi services. The kind of models that they've discussed and the pilots that they are conducting, we feel that yes, they would be able to monetize these once the public data office kind of guidelines come out and the security requirements for KYC of the individual who's accessing those services are taken care of.
All right, we'll take just two more questions. So the second last question is, will faster IoT or 5G adoption be able to bail out the debt-ridden telecom industry service providers?
Can you repeat? Sorry.
Yes, I'll repeat it. Should I repeat the question?
Yeah.
So the question was, will faster IoT 5G adoption be able to bail out the debt-ridden telecom industry? All the service providers.
IoT will have, before, it will have a strong impact on the telco market, on the telcos for the future, because it's IoT in all the different variances. It's not only the classical one. And again, coming back, if we're talking about full IoT stack, if we're talking about, okay, a telco is only offering pure connectivity, in this part, I believe it will not have a strong impact. If you're talking about offering full end-to-end services for selected verticals, the telco is selected, I believe then it will have a super strong and a long-term relationship to the customer also. It's a totally different approach.
So we go with the last question. What do you say is the biggest challenge India faces in the IoT space?
In India, my lesson learned is the positive effect is India is digital IoT world super disruptive, super fast. I've never done things faster than here in India in the last 18 months, 2 years. The point is, if you have the right services, all services are scaling up very, very fast, which means you have to be really ready what you are doing. Is my learning one of these learnings. The second one is, in principle, India is much more technology-wise. It's much more complex than many other countries. We talked about national roaming and the cloud services. There are also many regulatory requirements. you have to take care of. And last but not least, India is super price sensitive on the technology side. But this is, I would say, this is an opportunity. People say, okay, that makes it slower and it doesn't work. No, I have a different view of it. If it works in India, you can sell it around the world. We have to change things we believe they are negative, pricing, technology, and to a positive impact. And this is a huge opportunity if you do it right now on innovation, technology, end-to-end services, digital services. I personally believe India can be one of the drivers for digital services in the next years around the world, not only India.
All right. With that, we come to an end to today's webinar. Thank you, Mr. Hayes, CEO of Unlimit IoT, on the topic NDCP 2018 Desired Policy Framework to Enhance the Adoption and Growth of IoT in India. Unfortunately, we won't be able to take all the questions due to time constraints. If you have any other questions, please send them at editor@telecom.com. It was an engaging and insightful talk, and hope all the participants have enjoyed the presentation. The recording of this webinar will be made available on ettelecom.com. Thank you everyone for joining us. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.